Hi, so we're kind of at the start of our meeting. My name is Bobby Duder. I am a high school science teacher at Warner. And today I'm going to teach you about CK12 and just kind of what that is and how I utilize it within my classroom so that it becomes something that you can use in your classroom. So I am a CK12 certified educator. And so I have taken webinars and learned how to use their product. And now my job is kind of using it in my classroom and just facilitating with others of what we have. So what is CK12.org? Well, it is a learning platform that enables your students to kind of personalize how they learn and how they go through stuff. So what do we have to offer at CK12? So the first thing that we have to offer is a Flexbook 2.0, which I'm going to show you kind of how to use and build today. Our Flexbook 2.0s are usable. They have embedded videos, simulations, things that become usable to you in your classroom. So you can actually put all of your curriculum in there and then you can edit them so that they're usable for you. They're very intelligent and interactive. They have adaptive practices, which are amazing, and they allow your kids to go through at their own pace. Interactive simulations, they are aligned to your classes and class size. You can also change them so that they're based on your South Dakota curriculum of what you want. You get a little insight to how students are performing. So you know if they take too much time to do an assessment. Are they looking it up? Are they not? Does it take them 5 seconds to complete 55 questions? So you get a little feedback on how they're doing. We also have some discussion forums such as the CK12 Cafe. This allows educators to go in and answer any questions that you may have, and it's a really nice platform. And we do have integration systems as well. By the way, if you have bilingual students, they have a translate function. So like I have one student that is ELS, so he is English as a second language. And so we're able to translate everything into Spanish. His parents or brother can see them in Spanish to help him at home. And so that is just a translate function. So I don't have to change my book. The assignment that I assign to everybody is assigned to them as well. And so this is a professional development that you can do for this as well. And so here's a little video about CK12 and what they do.
Back in the summer of 2014, our superintendent challenged us to find a way to save a lot of money with textbooks. And so the way around the traditional adoption purchase of textbooks in our district was to go the CK12 route. We're such a large district, when we buy textbooks, they're about $85 each, and when you have to buy 18,000 at a time, it comes out to be between $1.5 and $2 million. If you're not spending that money on textbooks, you can spend it on something else, and that's what we decided to do.
We needed new materials. We had materials that were quite old, and we weren't engaging our kids in science. So we wanted to look for a new way to be able to teach and learn with our students. CK12 was an obvious choice for us for a couple of different reasons. Number one, we were able to experience some cost savings with it. The content is rich, it's engaging to students, and it's flexible. So it allows us to really tailor the tools to meet the needs of the instruction.
We really have come to see this product come to life in the classroom. Our teachers have really taken this product and incorporated it into their daily instruction. Their students are even creating their own textbook. So if we have language learners, if we have special education students, or just an individual who is ready to advance for pursuing, the information that's available, online textbook allows us to customize that and allows students, teachers, parents even to explore that.
As we think about customizable content, it's a tool that we use to buy relevance with our kids. In using the CK12 content, we have the ability to upgrade, update, and customize every math problem, every science experiment with people, places, and things that our students know and understand. We buy relevance that can't be purchased in textbooks.
If you can engage student, you're going to increase learning. And I believe that with the different modalities that CK12 provides for our students to learn, a student is going to find a component within CK12 that brings that learning to life for them.
And so right now, what I'm going to have you do is go in and log in using the URL www.ck12.org, and we're going to explore that Flexbook 2.0. I love using my CK12, and so this is what your dashboard looks like when you come up right away. And so one of the things that's great about a dashboard is that you can have your classes here. So I actually have my classes set up. If I want to just look at and search for Flexbook 2.0, because I'm not really sure how to do that, the first thing I'm going to do is search by subject. So I can go under 5K all the way down to whatever course I want. The other way that you can do that is to go explore and go right to the Flexbook 2.0. We do have some older versions of Flexbooks, but they don't have the adaptive practices. So these are really nice to have that. You can also explore any of the materials that are under the CK12 under the Explore. And the third way that you can do that is just to type in your Flexbook 2.0, and then you can search it that way as well. For right now, I'm going to go explore Flexbook 2.0. And so that's going to come up with some information. It tells you a little bit about what we have, but we're going to go ahead and just get started. Once we have that, we can look down at our Flexbook 2.0. I teach high school science and AP computer science principles. So for me, I'm going to show you just some interesting information. By the way, they're doing wonderful things with mathematics and social studies. So don't just think it's just science. You can do these however you want. So under the science, I'm going to click on the biology book. So a couple things that we can do with this biology book. This book is technically published, but if I have a CK12, I can add this to my library. So this way I can view it later. So your library is all the things that you choose to archive that would be useful for you in your class. I can customize this. I can add it to another Flexbook. So maybe I started one, or maybe I'm teaching one semester of biology and one semester of chemistry in the same course. I can add those together, or I can share it to my class. And so then I can share it actually to a class that I'm going to do. So let's look at customizing this book. And so if I customize, one of the things that I'm now able to do, it takes you to a different screen, and I can simply look at what is under the introduction to biology. And so we talk about the scientific method, experiments, theories, characteristics of life, principles of biology. Each one of these are individual lessons. So this would be a one-day activity that you could do a lab or a simulation with, but these are all individual lessons. Well, I don't have 20 days to do my chapter 1, but I know that, hey, maybe I'm going to talk about experiments under a scientific method. And so what I can do with some of this stuff is I can go and I can edit. I can move it to, so then I can move it to a different chapter if I want to talk about it there, or I can completely remove it. So I'm just going to remove it because I don't really want to teach that part right now. I'm going to do that later. Let's see, independence of living things. This is something I don't want to teach it here. I'm going to take this little arrow. I'm going to drag this all the way down so I can actually move it to a different spot. And then you can kind of switch that around. Another feature that you have for this, you can use it however you want to use it within here. And then when I have this done, I can save it. That saving feature is great because if I've added this to my library, now it's customized for me, for my students, and it's following the curriculum path that I want to show in my high school biology classroom. And you can also, one thing that's really cool about this, so if I want to go into this feature right here, I can edit, I can change the title of that. So maybe I have something that I'm already using. I want to go in and edit this. And so I can go and change some of this stuff so that's what I want to see within here. And so now, okay, basic information, I can edit the chapter and see what we have under each one of those. So now I can look at the scientific method. I can read through this. It seems to be taking a little bit longer than I want. And I can edit the material that's under here. So I can go back and edit some of that stuff. So that's kind of fun too. Another really cool thing that CK12 has, these are simulations. So again, if I'm at my dashboard, I'm going to leave this. I don't really want to save it. I can use it later. If I go to my dashboard, there are some different things that I can do. So right now you can see what I've been doing within my classroom because it's recently viewed. I have some intermolecular forces that we've been using. We've been talking about dipole-dipole versus hydrogen bonds. And so we can click on these and we can view a couple different things. One, when I click on it, I get assign, add to library, or preview. We're just going to preview it right now. I'll show you how to add it to a class in just a second. So these are embedded within each of the chapters for your CK12. So it gives a description of what is going on over here. And then this is kind of neat for an interactive. So these Plicks or P-L-I-X, these are really great to be seeing different types of things. So if I go all the way over to bond strength as being intermediate, I can see, okay, covalent, ionic, those are both there. It tells about viscosity, vapor pressure. And then if I go all the way over to strong intermolecular forces, okay, these are ionic, and it goes through there. Under the challenge me, it offers you 5 questions that you can put down. So how does vapor pressure affect or increase the strength of intermolecular forces? So I'm just going to put it remains constant, and I'm going to submit that. Well, that was wrong. And so I know that was wrong and did that on purpose because now it's going to show me the correct answer. Oh, it decreases. And so your kids are actually getting some of this information. So if I wanted to assign this to a class, I can click assign to class. Now, we use Google Classroom. That is my learning platform. So I'm not going to change that learning platform for anything else. I'm just going to maintain a Google Classroom. You can assign in CK12. You can also use Canvas or Schoology, whichever you use as a platform. But I'm going to use my Google Classroom. So my Google Classroom, I actually am going to assign this to my TIE presentation materials. It is going to have a required due date. So I'll go in and change that for Thursday, and then I'm going to go assign. It will tell me, hey, we got this. It's successfully assigned here. Here's the thing that you need to remember with the CK12. So if I go under my classroom, under CK12, under presentation materials, under classwork, right now, it is just going to sit at the top of the screen. In order for me to go in, I need to go and edit. And I'm going to want to change the point value because I don't think that that interaction is worth 100 points. I think it's more like 5 points. And I like assigning things under topics. So I'm going to go ck12.org. So once I've done that, then it moves it into ck12.org. And so you can see that now underneath of the folder that you would want. So what does that look like in a regular classroom setting? So I'm going to show you one of my upperclassmen classes because we use this interactive quite a bit in my botany class. So I'm going to show you in a couple ways. One, I'm going to go to classes. I'm going to go to botany. Botany is a class that we have as an elective in our high school. It is a sophomore level class and it is semester long. Under my shared resources, I have a textbook. I have created this Flexbook 2.0. It is specialized for botany. It has been published. And so these are the lessons that we do within that class. So if you notice, there are 61 lessons that we do within our botany class. Now, I'm editing this book currently, so I do change the order which they are, and I don't have chapters yet for this book because this is an elective class that I'm still kind of fine tweaking in here. A couple things that are really nice for this class though, if we go to something like root structures, we can start. One of the things that they do is that there are images. They're great. They're wonderful to see. And there are some questions at the bottom of some of these that you can ask. So it starts right away. What is a carrot? And so we're looking at those vegetables and those roots, and you have nice microscopic images. You have great pictures of your roots and what they do for anchoring. And one of the other things is that we have a little bit of an insight button that you see coming up right here. So when I click on the insight to this, it gives me, hey, there's no data yet, but I can look at the whole class or I can kind of demo these. So I want to show you what it looks like after I've assigned some of these because they have assigned homework all the time. And we've broken these up into their chapter here. So this is where they actually do their homework. And so we're going to go into this assignment. This one has been graded. So we're just going to click on the CK12 that we have here. So then they click on this. This is what it's taking them to. It's taking them directly to CK12 so that they can see, we can preview the assignment as the educator, but this is what your student sees. And so they're seeing that assignment here, they're seeing that view practice, and they can get started on that. For us, it's going to say assign. For them, it's going to say turn in here when they're done with the adaptive practice. So let's preview what an adaptive practice looks like. So an adaptive practice, I have mine set up so that they cannot see the answers. And so what it will do is it will tell them which questions. I'm just pushing some so that you guys can see, oh, it tells me what I got right and what I got wrong. And then it gives, hey, do you need a quick little refresher? And it will no thank you or remind me later. So it gives you a little bit of a hint down here of what these are. If I look at my class, because these guys have already been graded for this. I get kind of a class preview. So this is, I only have 6 students in this class. You can see, okay, this is the example. This has not been started by any of them, which I would not expect. It's tomorrow's assignment. I'm looking at Zachary's now, DICOT, and it's telling me, okay, it's giving me a little bit of data. So there were 10 questions, 2 easy, 6 medium, 2 hard of the 10. And for him, it will also tell me, hey, he got 10 correct, best streak was 10, so he got a 10 out of 10, and it took him 2 minutes to do this. All right, so he got this the first time. And it tells me exactly what he did right. Well, he was a great one. He didn't get any wrong. This person got a 90%. So it's going to tell me statistics as well. Well, her best streak was a 5 in a row. It spent 2 minutes on it. She got 1 out of 4 for the hard questions, 6 out of 7, and 2 out of 2 for the easy to get her score. If I don't like her score, I can reset this and then she can re-practice that as well. And then it's going through and telling me what she got wrong and what the correct answer is. So that, and it says, hey, first try, second try. So it's telling me on which try they did it because they can do this multiple times. You can set limits on CK12, but that is a choice that you can make with that. And so when you start going through these practices, you can look at that insight. We can assign to class here, and then we can also share it. You can also find stuff and then add it to a Flexbook 2.0. And for those kids that aren't available to actually learn in person or really need that physical copy, you can download a PDF for it. One of the great parts about this too is this is a note-taking option. So when your kids sign in, they can highlight and then they can take notes. And then at the bottom of your page, it will show those notes for them, which is a great feature. Also, I said that you can translate this. So when I select language, I can select any of these languages and then it turns into that format and it translates beautifully. My Spanish speaking students have not had any issue with this. They've understood everything perfectly. So it's wonderful, a wonderful tool. And then you don't have to try to go back and forth. So this is a really nice way to customize for your class. The other thing I want to show you is simulations. I use the simulations a lot in my physics classroom and in my biology or chemistry classroom. So I said we were looking at dipole. So we're looking at intermolecular forces and showing how adhesion and cohesion applies to those intermolecular forces, which for kids sometimes is really hard to see. So you can do some challenge me feedback and concepts here. I can also assign this to my class. But one thing that's really cool is you can design kind of a lab for this. So I'm going to add a drop. And it tells me, okay, well, how many drops does it take before it spills off? So in this case, it's 3. And then you can actually do a real comparison of, okay, well, how many drops is it going to take for that? Does that tell about the strength of the intermolecular force? And it does tell you if it's a London force, a dipole, and then it goes into a hydrogen bond. So it's 5 drops before it bursts. And then we have a nice water molecule that's going to form here. You can also see that there is a chemical structure to that, which I really like because we start talking about those Vesper models and they really need to understand that a little bit more. So now we're at 6 drops and 7 drops and 8, and we go across the screen. So it's really kind of nice for the kids to see that interaction and that understanding for this. Here are some more real world examples that are given to this. So those are really nice to see that too. If you're ever wondering, well, gosh, I just don't know how to get to some of this stuff. Well, with these are really on the front page here. But one thing I can go to is I can go to science, I can go to chemistry, and when I click on a 2.0 flex book, so I'm just going to search the flex book itself because I'm in my botany class right now. It's giving me some topics that I can go, oh, these are 74 results that are found under here because I wasn't really sure. So I just clicked on one. Let's go to measurements. And so when I click on measurements here, I can now assign that. So it's going to tell me there's videos set into there, there's a summary, and then there's some questions. And so I can also preview that adaptive practice to see, okay, do I want to assign this to my class or do I not want to assign it? Which is kind of nice because you can kind of pick and choose of what you would like to do with some of those things as well. Let's get back to the presentation a little bit more. So again, you can customize this platform in any way that you see fit. The textbooks are, each lesson enables a student to personalize a journal so that they can pick up notes that they want, and only the student can view those, which is really nice. Adaptive practices for each lesson allow the students to have multiple tries to complete the lesson. Also, the adaptive practices will give students harder or easier questions based on their learning level, and it will give a little teacher insight on the data that you have. So when we start customizing these books, you can look for areas around here. So there's a state option for you to look at these, but teachers really recommend these books. Also, if you have content that's missing from a chapter that you just really feel is important, you can always write it in. And students can really get some more insight and specialization that you wouldn't necessarily have from a normal book. The paragraphs are also broken up, which is really nice so that you can break them up. You can also increase the size of the font as well. So students who have a visual problem, you can actually separate that out a little bit. It also fits into IEPs really well. It will also tell you a little bit about the paragraph recommendations for questions that you have missed. So go back and read that paragraph, and that is in the hints bar that I showed you at the end. And so these are going to be little Flexlets. Flexlets are something that are new from from ck12.org. These are just like mini little books that you can go through over chapters to help you prep during the summer. And so these are kids going into 7th grade math or into 8th grade math. And so they're prep books. They're actually summer books. So if you have kids that are just a little bit behind, these little Flexlets allow for you to have them prepare for the next school year without having to maybe do this, have a teacher in front of them the whole time for summer school. But they can go through the interactive and adaptive practices. It's easy to give feedback or be self-aware for those as well. The middle school books are excellent. We actually use them in our high school and middle school because of the amount of kids that we have and the amount of how much books cost. So this is an easy way to make them adaptive. And with the changing to our new South Dakota science standards a few years ago, this was an easy way for us to go into that really well. We have interactives. Interactives from middle school through high school are really fun. So kids can see the how a pulley would work or how you would move something. You can actually calculate that out and it graphs it for you. So those are my favorite things. We use them in physics all the time in my classroom. Also, I see with this, I have not used the algebra books and our math teacher currently does not. These are something that is really new, but they do have an interactive algebra 1, geometry, and algebra 2. These are great sources for people to be able to use from there. So we are going to make sure that we keep going on the recording. There are some people that missed the link, but that's okay. We'll keep going so you can view this later. And so one of the things that we see with the Flexbook 2.0 is that it is a wonderful source for us to use. So school pages. I have a school page and so does everybody else who is in South Dakota. So the cool part about this, so if we go back to Google. I'm sorry, I keep calling it Google Classroom because we use it so much in Google Classroom. But you can explore. And if you notice in here, I did talk about our explore. So we can go schools from districts near you. And so you can explore that schools from districts near you. And you can see South Dakota. And so Washington High School has some books for their intermediate physics, and then West Central. Warner has been added, but this is also a nonprofit, so it does take a little bit of time for our schools to be added to this. And so these guys have been added for a few years now. Washington High School and West Central High School both have their flex books on here. Warner does too, but again, I added us about a month ago, so then it takes time. So they will answer your questions very quickly. So if you ever need questions answered, go to the cafe and you can ask educators. Be prepared that sometimes the educators that are going to be answering are not your CK-12 educators. They're actually educators from everywhere. Like people like me can go into the cafe and do that. They also have something really cool that's been a new feature this year. This is the science corner. So you can actually ask and follow, and then they have need help with science questions and science homework. So we can follow on that. So that's pretty cool too. And your students can join some of these as well. So there is lots and lots of stuff. You can tell like certain states use this a lot since you have Jumpstart for Educators for Florida, Georgia, and it's a really good learning community. So these people have worked together to make CK-12 just a wonderful, wonderful, easy tool for us to use. The other thing that they do is they did align all their stuff to the NGSS, and they do have a links to the NGSS as well. And if you're interested in being a certified educator, we'll talk about that a little bit later on. So it's really nice to have our school pages available so that we can see those. So let's hear a little feedback from some of the people that actually use CK-12 instead of just listening to me.
I love learning, and I actually really love books. But the problem with textbooks is that they are actually very limiting format, and not every child can learn from that. Textbooks are created to be average, so you cover almost every kind of student. The problem is that that doesn't work for every student. That's why we created Flexbooks. These are textbooks that are current, customizable, and of course, free.
We can embed multimedia components to make it more engaging for our students, to make it more relevant for our students, so that they're no longer using a static textbook, but one that's dynamic and rigorous and high quality and easily updated. Teachers can go and find a textbook that meets their needs, and they can constantly revise and edit as they go along.
We would be flat as teachers if we weren't always asking ourselves, what's in the student's best interest? What's going to be down the tunnel for them? Down the tunnel for them is less and less printed textbooks and more digital resources. And I'm not preparing them for their futures if I'm not learning how to use those resources as well.
I didn't realize that something this simple as online textbooks could change the way that I teach that much. But it's been pretty much a door that has opened that I can't close anymore.
CK-12 actually meets and exceeds the standards that are required by our curriculum, our state and district curriculum.
If I were speaking to someone that was considering the CK-12, I would say don't hesitate because of just the savings and just the practicality of it. But the current information and the ease of use with our students who are engaged with technology, there's just nothing else out there like it.
And I agree. I use these all the time. Okay, so a couple things that I want you to know about that are options for you if you choose to do that. So workshops are available for CK-12 in the Certified Educator Program. So if this is something that you're really interested in, feel free to reach out to me at bobby.duder@k12.sd.us. But you can also go on to the CK-12 Certified Educator. So they're concept-based learning There are tons of concepts out there. Concept-based learning is really important when we start talking about these. So this is a physics example. And so when we start looking at motion in the one dimension, you can look at the position, average velocity, and all through these. And I want to show you my physics books because they're just really awesome because they focus on math and science concepts. You always start each concept with how you're going to learn it and the way that you're going to learn it. And then you go into lessons that have videos and interactive and real worlds and study guides and adaptive practices. And you can assign as many or as few as you want or what's best for your students. So you don't have to just go, oh, well, this is the textbook. And as soon as I click on this chapter, everything's assigned. You get to pick that. The really nice part about using a Flexbook 2.0 is that you can assign it in ck12.org or you can assign it within your Google Classroom. You can also use Canvas or Schoology. I love doing everything through Google Classroom, and it's so nice that this is a product that is adaptable to using a system that we're already familiar with. My students have no problems going through this. So right now it's looking at interactive physics for high school, and it's looking at a specific curriculum. And I want to show you what this looks like when you start going into a CK12. So we're in the cafe. I'm just going to go to classes. I've already taught physics for the year. We do it at first semester, but I still have my physics book here. And so with physics, the great part about this is I have my shared resource. And from here for the intermediate, I can click on any concept that's going to come up. So we'll do Newton's 3 laws of motion, and we're going to do Newton's first law. So when I look at Newton's first law of motion, one of the things I can see right away is what we have for the first law. It's defining it. It's looking, check for understanding. Do we understand what's going on? It's got some questions with that. So that's wonderful. And then you're going to see at the very bottom, hey, here's some equations and here's going to be some check for understanding for this. Now, when we start looking at some of these 2.0 books for you, and they have some new stuff that they're doing in biology that makes me super happy and I'm so excited about. They have some interactives that are built right in there. And so I think it's under cell structure. Yes. And so one of the things I can do, so I just clicked on this 2.0 Flexbook for biology. I don't have to go into everything. Maybe I want other ways to learn. Cell and organelles, I can do Golgi 911. So all of these are little things that I can assign outside. And so these little marks right here, these are going to be some videos that we can see. This is our Plick's interactive. So we have other ways, but if I choose to, I can go right into that start button and look at these cell structures, and it talks about this. If I want, I can go through and start looking at, okay, I really think that this is important, so I can highlight that. I can add a note if I need to about what that is. So at the bottom, it will start telling me all my stuff. We can look at our Golgi apparatus. I can have this video that can start playing from YouTube. If I don't like the
Inside
video,
eukaryotic
I can change
cells,
it.
an organelle called the endoplasmic reticulum is responsible for making and packaging proteins.
And so if I don't like this video, I can actually go and edit this book and put a different video that maybe I like better in about the endoplasmic reticulum. Maybe I want my students to create videos and then they can post them to YouTube. And I love that they have a video for like each one of the little images. And then I can view my images. Okay, I really like these pictures. I want to put them on a PowerPoint. Well, it's telling you the source, the license, so you have a reference to that. So that's great for you because then you can mirror your PowerPoints to be part of your textbook. And it's a lot easier than trying to trim and put those into place where they aren't normally at. I believe, yeah, plant structure, we use this one quite a bit. And so the plant structure one is really nice because now you have these pictures of these beautiful cells, and it doesn't just have to be a cell. I can say, oh, the Golgi body. So I can highlight, or sorry, it's not going to let me do that. so I can start highlighting some of this stuff like, oh, photosynthesis, and I can add a little special information about photosynthesis, or I can write a note about some of this stuff. Like, I really need to talk about photosynthesis here, and it's going to give me a little click to this, and I'm going to be able to talk specifically about photosynthesis. So anything that's linked in there is going to give me extra information like, oh, perfect. I can now watch a video on photosynthesis, or I can read more about it, or I can do a Plick on it. And I actually like this Plick for my high school. So Plick stands for Play, Learn, and Interactive. And so then I can start seeing these molecules as I look at my energy and what's happening as we go in. And you can see the interactive, and then you can have them answer questions. I do these as a group. So I have groups of 3 or 4, and then they can understand, to make sure they just understand what's going on between like plant cells and how light is actually coming in and water is coming into them. And so these are great little interactives that you can have in there. For my physics class, that's probably one of my favorites. We use a ton of the interactives, or the simulations, I should say, in there. They're like my students' favorite thing. And we are lucky enough to have a nice big board that's interactive and touch screen. And so they'll actually like, can we do this in front of the entire class? And there's worksheets for them. So we'll do 2-dimensional motion. And so with this 2-dimensional motion, as we get started, we can look at this. You'll notice that this is an older Flexbook. It is not a Flexbook 2.0, but we can do this interactive. And so once I launch this, it will give some directions on how to do this. And lucky for us, like as teachers, there's a worksheet that goes with this. So you can always have them print the worksheet that's up here, and then they can use that later, but I can play through this and it'll tell me a simulation.
Erwin the robot is programmed to move in 2 different directions independently.
And then the directions are also on the sheet. And so then I can change my X and Y velocities, and then I can push play, and you can start to see what's happening to Erwin. And the cool thing is that we have these graphs up here that are showing what's going on. The fun thing about this, you can have them, I first have them just kind of play around so that they make sure. Then they have questions. And so then you can click on this question, and then you need to try it so that you can see if Erwin's actually going to do what you want Erwin to do. And then if you don't get it to do what it's going to tell you to do, so you're going to push that, you're going to let it run through, and then you're going to push submit. Try again. So they're actually trying to get that right answer. Now they can do this over and over again, but it will take them back to that question. Okay, let's use that again. Let me see what you get. And so you can actually go through and do these over and over for you to get them. You can also see community questions. I'm going to show you what this worksheet looks like. And so when we look at the worksheet, this is actually something they can print off. The fun part about this, it does give them that instruction that is on the first page. So that's there. It tells them how to use the interactive, what the X and Y are. So it's really nice to have that. It gives them the graphs here. It tells them what the graphs mean and what they're showing. And then it gives them those same 4 questions that are up there. And then it has some challenge me stuff, which I like the challenge me. And then at the very bottom, so it has some interesting questions, and it gives them some understanding about it as well. And so these are kind of fun. And then if you need some additional concepts like motion, velocity, acceleration, so these are also physics concepts that can be linked to 2-dimensional motion. They're linked right here. So I can go to acceleration, and then it's going to take me to that within my Flexbook 2.0. Okay, what do I know about acceleration? Oh, I can read about it, I can do a simulation, or I can watch a video about it. And anything that's here, these can all be shared via email or social media. You can also like them. The thumbs up are actually really nice because they give a feedback to CK12 to what is working and what is not working. But overall, these are great. And the last thing I want to show you is the CK12 Certified Educator Program. The CK12 Certified Educator Program allows for you to better understand CK12 and then share it with everybody else. And so the last thing I'm going to do is show you a little video about CK12. and the Certified Educator Program.
Hello, I'm Azuka Ojini. I'm a CK12 certified educator at New Design Charter School. One of the reasons why I recommend the CK12 Certified Educators Program is it gives you a window into how to help your students. So the students are in a position to learn more.
Below are several examples of two variable equations.
The Certified Educators Program really helped me to prepare my material, ahead of time, and then knowing where I'm taking my students, so I am more intentional. You have to be fearless, okay? CK12 learners are what? Fearless. Fearless, yes.
Hi, my name is Lorette Setledge, and I am a science teacher at Century High School, and I am a certified CK12 educator. One of the reasons I think that it's really valuable to take some time out in the summer and to do the CK12 educator certification is because when you begin using CK12 in your classroom, you'll have all the tools that you need in order to set up that electronic classroom and hit the ground running. It actually makes your teaching much easier. One of the great things is today, my students have multiple assignments that they're working on, some of them, and they're all embedded into the CK12 classroom. That makes it real easy.
The simulation on Mars that we're going to be going over, the topic is why do trips to Mars happen only during certain launch windows? The CK12 Certified Educator Program helped me learn how to use the interface and effectively implement it in my classroom, as well as give me confidence that I knew enough to be dangerous with it.
As teachers, we're always seeking to better ourselves and to become more proficient at our career. And we're always looking at resources for this, and CK12 has provided this wonderful resource, and on top of all of that, it's completely free. I would highly encourage anyone to take advantage of the Certified Educator Program. It was great. I learned a lot from it. Our districts don't have a lot of money to pay for professional development, so when it's free and it's quality, we gotta jump.
And I agree. It is just a wonderful program. I took the educator program. It was very easy. It was wonderful to do, and it gives you a lot of feedback. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. This PowerPoint is attached under my presentation, and thank you for joining me today. I so appreciate it. Have the rest of your TIE conference be just as amazing.